Hello, you guys, and we are back to our February Missing Persons Month. The first case I have for you is out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. On June 24, 2014, around 2 p.m., 24-year-old trukita-jaquita-scott left her job at a U-Haul company. This was one of two jobs that Trukita held down. She was a caregiver for a mentally ill disabled adult. Other than U-Haul and the caregiving job, she also had dreams to become a police officer. She would even go on ride-alongs with the Miami Gardens Police Department. She actually had went on a ride-along with them 1 week before she would vanish. Chiquita was on her way to pick up her two toddlers from daycare, but she would never arrive. She texted her fiancé saying she loved him, and then sometime around 4 p.m., her phone was turned off. Then she disappeared. The day after her disappearance, her phone was turned back on and would ping in cities all over South Florida. A week into her disappearance, her gold 2007 Nissan Altima with the Florida license plates BCVX16 was abandoned at a Northwest 40th Street and 10th Avenue in Liberty City neighborhood in Miami, Florida. As investigators looked into where Trukita was, her cell phone pings would show the day that she went missing. She was with her former boyfriend, Carl Monty Watts, who's also the father of her son. Witnesses who knew the couple say that Watts argued with Trukita around the time that she vanished. He also had been physically abusive to her and he threatened her. Carl Watts would later become a person of interest in her disappearance. Watts has a criminal history of crimes including kidnapping and sexual offenses. While authorities were investigating Trukita's disappearance, Watts was unable to be located. He would resurface and turn himself into police for conditions of violating his supervised release for federal weapons violations. These violations came from his arrest in June. The same month, Trukita disappeared. Watts was charged with an incident on May 1st. While a teenage girl waited for a bus in Fort Lauderdale, he tried to force the girl inside his car. He had 3 prior arrests of kidnapping and other offenses and had served 2 prison terms. Watts pled guilty to a battery in August 2014, and the judge called him a predator, but he only sentenced him to 11 months in prison, and then he was released. So it seems like if ever there's a woman or girl around Watts, romantically linked to him or forced by him, she is in trouble. In 2009, and some articles say 2000, but it was on February 12th, Vicki Simmons, 25, living in North Miami, mother of 2, vanished. 2 days later, her body was discovered at the Sun and Surf Inn at 11102 Biscayne Boulevard. Police did not release how Vicki Simmons was murdered. Simmons' sister believes that the couple had gotten into an argument over her being an exotic dancer, which led to her death. It wasn't enough evidence, authorities said, to charge Watts at the time, and I don't believe he was even a suspect. On April 3rd, 2022, he approached his wife, Shondell Harris. He approached her in a public place with her mother and her young daughter present. They do not have children together. He asked her to drop the charges. He had beat her prior and strangled her and wanted her to retract what had happened, and she said no. He simply pulled out his gun in front of all these people at this Michael Ann Russell Jewish Community Center where she was trying to give her daughter lessons on how to swim, an 11-year-old, and other children were there. He pulled his gun out and shot her. Shot her dead right in front of her daughter and her mother. He was immediately detained in that, while Watts awaits trial now. Justice for all these women. Justice for Vicki Simmons. Justice for Shondell Harris. But these years have went by, and Trukita-Scott is still missing. She would be 34 years old now. And the only person that knows exactly what happens to her is a monster by the name of Carl Watts. And not the serial killer, Carl Watts. Or should I say, another serial killer with the same name, right? Very interesting. 2 Carl Watts that kill women. But where is Trukita-Scott?